Hi guys, it's Monday morning in not so sunny Cairns. You can hear the rain falling on the roof, yet it's still reasonably warm. A little on the nippy side, could almost wear a wind cheater, but it's okay. Had a fairly successful day with technology yesterday and lodged my income tax return online. It was actually a lot easier than I expected. I expected there to be a lot more questions about my share trading and what have you, and there wasn't. I didn't have to put details in, so that was great. That went quite smooth. It didn't take too long to do. One of the annoying things about owning shares is getting the information about your dividends, and I've got an account with NAB Trading, which is the National Australia Bank's online trading platform. Unlike CommSec, which is the Commonwealth Bank's trading platform, NAB don't provide you with the details of your dividends earned and the franking and all the other crap you need to put in when you're lodging your return. As it turned out, unknown to me, I've been waiting for several weeks to hear back from NAB. I haven't bothered even replying to two of my emails, just ignored them. So their customer service sucks big time. Every time you ring them, they say they're experiencing a high volume of calls. I think, well, stuff this. I'm not going to go on my mobile and just wait forever to hear from them. So I just gave up on the whole thing. And yesterday I just said, look, stuff it. I'll try just lodging the return online and see what information is there. And wouldn't you know it, the dividends for those shares that were held, I've only got a couple of shares that were held with NAB, but the information on those shares is already with the taxation office. They had it already loaded. So all I had to do was get the CommSec information, which I already had on a PDF file, and I was ready to go. And boom, did it. I did make as major, not minor stuff up. I put in a return forgetting to put in my capital gains earned from share trading, which is only a little over $1,000. It was a minuscule amount compared to the previous year, which was a good year in the market. But that was quite easy to do. They didn't even want details of the shares. I was quite surprised that they thought I had to put all the buys and sells and the costs and everything for that. They just wanted raw figures, just the rounded figures, and that was it. And so I've lodged that, and that didn't change the return. I'm getting a full return for all the fully franked amounts that I'd paid. I'm getting it all back, so it's going to be a nice little bonus for me. So that worked out well. But this video isn't about really about my tax return, because that's fairly boring stuff, I'm sure, to most people. Mind you, after the fiasco with the census a week ago, I guess it's nice to see one online platform seems to be working okay. Fingers crossed the security is up to scratch. However, what I'm contacting you about today. There's a bit of ambient sound there. It's never quiet around here. What I'm actually doing this video on today is me getting in touch with my inner nerd, and specifically relating to SpaceX, which is a spaceship manufacturing company owned by Elon Musk, the man who's bringing us Tesla Motors, who have got the new battery sports cars and sedans made in the States. So he's quite a visionary. He used to be part of the PayPal operation. He sold out there and he got the capital together to live his dream. He almost went belly up with SpaceX in the past. The funding got pretty dodgy. It was either with SpaceX or Tesla, but one of the two companies. But he came very close to being in real strife. But he got bailed out at the last moment. Actually, I think it was the car company. When I think about it, they got orders in when they needed it, just the last minute. But it doesn't matter which one of the companies it was. The point is he was close to going under, and that would have been a crying shame, because he is one of those rare visionaries in a world that now is populated by goalless CEOs from corporate cultured companies that don't want to make decisions, and really just I think it's fantastic that we still have these incredible innovators like the Elon Musks of the world, you know, the Bill Gateses as well, that type of person. You know, his story was a few years back, but Elon seems to be the latest in that crop of entrepreneurs who really are true innovators. And the big milestone today, well, it wasn't the first time this milestone had been reached, but it just helps vindicate their technology. They launched a Falcon 9 rocket, which has got 9 rocket engines in it, hence the name. It's a 3-stage rocket, pretty standard. The big difference here is it was a satellite launched a geocentric orbit, which is quite a challenging thing to do. But the first stage was recovered once more. So once it had done its job and boosted the second and payload stages into low orbit, it disengaged from the rest of the vehicle and re-entered into the atmosphere and made a successful landing on a drone barge, which was an unmanned barge, which is sitting out a few hundred miles out from the coast, the Atlantic coast in the US, so out in the Atlantic Ocean. And it's quite amazing to think that they could actually do this successfully. The big deal about recovering the first stage rocket is that it could substantially reduce the cost of space travel, because the idea is now to refurbish these rockets that they recover, and the president of SpaceX said that basically this should lead to a 30% reduction in the charges to go into space with a refurbished rocket. They did an inspection on. Apparently, it was in really the previous times. It was in really good nick. The engines look fantastic, and the metal underneath the protective layers looked fantastic, and it was in as good a condition as they could have possibly hoped for. So looks like they're doing something right there, and they are probably going to be the first company to really pull this off. And actually, later in the year, I think it's around November, we should have a launch using a refurbished first stage, and that'll be the real proof of the concept. And if they can do that, and they can get it into some sort of a production line where they can refurbish quite cheaply, that 30% could be improved on. This is a big deal for the future of space flight, so maybe it's me in a nerd coming out, maybe it's a bit of my economics nerd coming out, but cutting the cost of space travel is a big deal. It's a big deal for exploration of Mars, and also for the possible mining of asteroids for their rich mineral deposits and what have you. These things will happen at some stage. It's just a matter of when they become economically viable. But if there's one company that's going to make it happen, it's going to be SpaceX. So hats off to you, buddies. You've done a great job, and Elon, just keep kicking those goals. I don't know if you're going to have quite as much success with the electric car in the short term. I'm sure long term you'll make it work, but I think that could be a bit more of a challenge. But in space, you are doing brilliantly. So sorry to start this video with a boring look at my tax return, but I'll tell you what, the ending of it's a lot more interesting. Oh, by the way, the other thing I found, a totally sexist comment I've got to say, but there's an engineering chick that they had on the broadcast called Kate Teese, and she's not a bad looker, I'll tell you. She's quite a honey. So the old days of the nerdy, bespeckled women that have got their noses to the grindstone in the laboratories and doing science seems to be past. They seem to be people that you wouldn't really notice in the street so much. I guess that's a good thing. Mind you, I don't mind the retro look of, say, Tud from that great 50s Cold War serial Jackson. Check this dude out in his white coat, and I love the brill creamed hair, and yeah, that's the way a scientist should look, I reckon. Maybe not so much a female scientist, but at least the male variety. But again, you know, this is not exactly the core of this video. I just thought it was nice to see a bit of a hottie on a space launch. So we'll probably see more of Kate. I'd imagine she might become quite popular. But more importantly, the actual launch was a success. And but I'm not averse to a bit of eye candy. I admit it. You know, I'm still human. Part of me is anyway. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little nerdy interlude, and after that, I've got a big video coming up explaining my foray into the stock market. So that could put a few people to sleep. But hopefully, this one's kept you awake for some time in the interim.